All right, check it out. So Kassadin is a very tough champion to play, and he's probably outside of your pay grade in terms of champions that you can execute. And I'm not saying that you have to drop him. Truly, I think he can carry in general in solo queue, but it's gonna take practice. I'm not even that great with him. As like I played him with the challenger climb, so I have a lot of experience with him. I studied him a lot with like Dopa, like I did with TF on that climb. So I know generally what he's supposed to do, but he's still tough to pull off. He requires a really good understanding of laning, a really good understanding of power spikes, and a really patient play style that I don't think most people are equipped for. And his team fighting is very fucking tough. That said, I think he is a fun champion, and I think he's viable. And I think you got a good matchup here. I don't know why you're pushing the lane right away. I don't like that. I think you should be constantly threatening to Q him. He can't do anything to you to retaliate at level 1, so you should not be hitting the creeps at all. There's literally no reason to, because pushing for level 2 doesn't do anything. You won't have kill potential anyways. The other thing that I would like to mention is that the way that you kill somebody with Kassadin in a lane is by attrition. You get them you slowly whittle them down, very similar to Gangplank actually in terms of like the Q spam. But you're gonna really be focusing on more starving the farm than anything, because you don't have to push fast at all. Yeah, you can get ganked early, but you're probably not getting ganked early by Hecarim ever. I would just really play this a lot slower. Literally, you're just at the last possible second, you're last hitting. Make that a little mini game in situations like these. So right there, you would auto, and then you would step forward and then Q the Katarina. So it took you way too long to get a Q off in this lane already. I don't like that. I'm not a fan of that. You've got to understand that you should be burning through your mana as quickly as possible on this lane. You should make it a priority to whittle this guy down as efficiently and as just... It's exploitable. Like, you're just doing it constantly. You're not stopping. You're telling him exactly what you're going to do. You're going to do it over and over again. That's more in line with what I want. The very last second last hits. There, I hate that. Stop autoing mindlessly if you're going to play this champ. Once you have... Like, I don't want you to do it every time, but I want you to understand why I'm telling you not to auto. Like, if you have an opponent who's shoving into you, like, really fast... then yeah, I would understand you autoing the creeps, because you want to try to like balance out the shove so you don't just get stuck under your tower last hitting in a really tough way. Your lane here, when the lane is even, you're happy, right? When the lane is even, you're happy because you can keep pushing this guy away from farm and keep spamming him with Q. In order to discourage him from pressuring you at level 2 or anything like that, you've got to make sure to spam those Qs and keep this lane as even for as long as possible so that he can't ever get a shove under your tower. So when you randomly attack creeps without a purpose, that scares me, because it tells me that you're not thinking about how that's going to affect the lane. So here, I'd want you attacking creeps a little bit, and then probably stepping off when he turns level 2. Just stepping back a bit. Now I would Q, and then I would walk up and auto creeps again. We get our W, and here's where you'd want to try to thin the wave a bit. So right here is fine. So I think you could have balanced this a little bit better. And anytime she's going to like shove into you, don't stand on her daggers or anything like that. You need to be ready for your Q when she goes for that siege creep. You need to prime up your Q. You know she's going to go for the siege creep there. Now, what's happening right now is I think you didn't do a good enough job of poking her at level 1 and keeping her basically like feigning aggression a lot and keeping her from trying to trade with you and get that level 2 first. Because even though I want you to hold the lane, I still want you trying to push for level 2, like try to get it first. But I also want you poking her down so that once she turns level 2, you're not in a position like this where you just eat a bad trade, now you're stuck under your tower. And you run into daggers a lot. Like there, you just did it again. Fake. Dance. Like this, look. Watch where you stand. You go right next to this dagger. You have to pay attention to it. You're going right next to it. I know the hitbox is like massive on the damage, but you can't go near it. It's because when she collects it, she AoEs. Yeah, there's nothing you can do there. You keep backing up, and it really peeves me. I'm gonna do a little exercise where I draw where I'd be moving. Her dagger's on cooldown, right? Watch. I'm gonna just put this in super slow-mo and draw where I would move, okay? Do you see what I'm saying? She used her dagger. In that time frame, you should be in her face, threatening that you're going to Q her, and then backing off again. Same thing, watch. Do you see what I'm saying? There's a point where you have to understand that you have an advantage and trade. Then you would back off once her Q. When I end that follow, it's because I'm assuming that her Q's back up. Now, look how close she was. Look how low she is, even versus Ignite, right? And that's after the kill credit gives her some heal. Dude, if you paid more attention to your positioning and you constantly pressured with the Q, like, I mean, it's night and day. She should get destroyed in this matchup. This matchup is so FREELO for you, in terms of just harassment. Like, you just constantly get to spam Q, and it's a great matchup for you. You're not gonna die very often, like. But the reason you die is because you just weren't trading. Anytime that she throws a dagger, you should be trying to land your Q and pressure her. You can't just let her chill in the lane like this for free. And additionally, like, the Mumu helped you out. So, like, that's all the more reason to play aggro, because you got that extra HP lead. Yeah, you literally just last hit here, yep. There's no point of pushing. Why are you auto-attacking? You were doing it right. And then you just randomly throw an extra auto-attack in. Why? Just literally last hit. The last possible second. See how you back up? Oh my god, it tilts me so hard, dude. You have no idea. What are you running from? What are you afraid of? You're an anti-AP fucking mage. You have a wave. She used the cooldown on you, and you could just walk around it. You're about to turn level 6. Look. I would literally walk into her face. I would just get in her face here. 100%. Q. Q her. Prime up the Q. You're just letting her run you over. That's really what this replay is. You're just letting her just totally control this lane. You're not trading with her. You're not looking to win a sustain game. You're just letting her push you in and bully you. And you never look to, like, whenever she goes to dive on a dagger, you can Q on her in advance. Now you're starting to Q more finely. I don't know why you didn't do it at level 1. You Q that creep, the one that you autoed, because you know you're not going to kill it with your auto. There you go. Fuck. Must have pressed the wrong button on accident. Doesn't Q. What a lame. Alright. Truthfully, in terms of like Kassadin in general, you've already lost the game. I don't want to tell you to not play him, but like it's gonna be a lot of work for you, because it's like, if you're not getting out of lane, with it, it's gonna really suck, because the amount of depth that you can go into with Kassadin in general, like, all right, how to play lane, what to do if we're winning lane, what to do if we're like slightly behind, but you should never really get crushed unless you're facing like some like AD matchup. Which in most cases, if I've got some crazy AD matchup issue, I would probably just dodge it. But like, this is, in my opinion, you being in this position is probably worse than like any other champ in this position. You lack wave clear. You lack the ability to really like push your laner around now. it's gonna be really bad for us. On this particular champion's one of the worst ones to fall behind on. Oh god, 4 hours of sleep. Did you see him and did you let him back? Because if you did, that's a mistake. Nope, you didn't see him. Okay. In this replay, I saw 0 zoning. I think that's the one thing I would work on with you and Kassadin is you really need to work on like getting in people's face and threatening to hit them with the Q. Because most of the lane phase, when I would have walked up and traded with Katarina and just been like, I'm going to Q her, you never did that. Especially early game, you never did it. I would R right onto her head there. She totally gets out of line here, 100%, and you don't R on her head. Why? 100% I would R on her head. Just for extend the trade a little bit more. Obviously walking around the dagger.
Oh, look, a happy little rapper.
Thanks, Treesby, for the 13 months keys in the chat. You see how you never step up at all? You never step up. You have your R for an escape. You never say, I'm going to Q you. You never communicate that intent to this guy, ever. I don't know why. This isn't a matchup where you need to play like a bitch. It's just not. It's a counter pick matchup. Katarina is destroyed by Kassadin, in my opinion. Sometimes she'll roam and kill your teammates and get out of control, but most of the time you'll destroy her. You'll keep her from farming creeps and everything. But not until you actually use your Q to threaten. Where's your Q? Why aren't you Qing every time she's near you? Dark Seal refillable start. I think Erupting Pot's fine, or it used to be. I can check and we can look and see what the pros are building now. In what circumstances. I used to go Corrupting Pot like every game. Wait, did I go Corrupting Pot every game? Or did I go Dark Seal refillable? I'm not sure if I did that. I'm not sure. It was almost 2 years ago. That's why I don't know. But let's look around real quick. So Kassadin versus an AP that he can poke that can all in. Some people go Dark Harvest, which is kind of sketchy versus matchups like these melee matchups that you can poke down. If we look it up real quick. Grass versus Katarina? That's silly. And they do Ravenous Hunter. A lot of the pros do Ravenous Hunter for the sustain. Biscuit Delivery. This seems like a decent option. Biscuit Delivery and Time Warp is decent too. Thunderlords, I don't know about that. Basically, long story short, I think it's not your items though. That's the problem. I think that Corrupting Pot's fine. If you really want to be like cheesy versus Katarina, since you can bully her, yeah, you could probably take an aggressive, like a more aggressive rune. But the sustain idea using domination to back you up is pretty good. Electrocute's probably not bad. Dark Harvest probably isn't even bad. Comet's not bad versus Katarina. But again, I don't think your runes is why you're getting beat, if that makes sense. This tower falls no matter what you do. I lied? Huh. I thought for sure it's dead. Feels like anytime someone shoots an early rift into mid, they get nothing done. Yep. Let's talk about this trade. You walk into that dagger, I mean, just walk around it and you won't take so much damage. You won't have to flash. And you need to be quicker on your Q when she jumps on you and ults. She gets out of line, dies. So we're back in the game. Thankfully, she didn't snowball us too hard. I hate this roam. Shove the lane. Your roam is trash here. I mean, it's obvious that you're roaming now because you just left lane randomly with a wave there. And it just doesn't make any sense to me. How do you think you're going to kill this Nasus? This Nasus has Merc Treads and Spirit Visage, and you've got to run all the way upriver to kill him. I don't think it's worth. Next time, if you want to roam, shove the lane first and then make the roam. That way you're pressuring tower too. We get the kill. Not sure why you flashed here. I don't think he can kill you. I don't think you know that though. It's good to disengage anyways. Thanks, Crowley. Appreciate the 28 months. Keys in the chat for Crowley, please. All I'm really doing here is just kind of looking at how this plays if you do anything like monumentally stupid. In my opinion, your laning is so bad that that's what I would focus most of your energy on for now. You really, at the level that you're at, as long as you're constantly pressuring with Q and not being too dumb, you will pretty much always get ahead in lane, and you will always have some kill pressure in most all matchups. Except for shit like, you know, like I said, like Zed, Pantheon. Truthfully now, once you're big enough, like right now, I feel like you're big enough to start working a side lane. I'm going to tell you this little bit of information, even though I think this game's kind of a wash. The way Kassadin works, and I mean, we're getting towards the back end of the replay anyways, just because we, like I said, we just didn't do a good enough job laning. That's really what this replay boils down to. Our laning was not superior, and Kassadin kind of requires you to play his lane advantages really well. That's how Kassadin plays, alright? You go into lane, you spam Q, you get your farm. You get big enough, you know, if your jungler ganks you and you get a kill, dope. You spam Q, and then if you get a lead, you start to freeze the lane towards your side and use your Rift Walk and your Q to zone really fucking far, very similar to an Akali. You can't get ganked, very similar to an Akali. It's really fucking hard for people to gank you. And you start to strangle mid lane. You strangle mid lane as long as possible. Once bot lane rotates to mid, whether it's their bot lane or your bot lane, if you're big and it's their bot lane, you want to try to hold the tower, and then if you can make a successful defense, you want to start getting a side lane split going. If your bot lane wins, same thing. You want to get a side lane split going. 1-3-1, ideally. That's pretty much most mids anyways. If you're big, you just push that lane in on bot, and you just pay attention to mid with your teleport. And you're generally not going to kill the person in the side lane. They're just going to kind of hold you, but you can always TP to mid or rotate to mid or whatever you want to do. In that phase, which you did not make it to, you're basically playing... Imagine you're playing like Super Meat Boy or Celeste or some shit. Basically, you are on the A side of Celeste right now, working through the A side of Kassadin. There's a B side, which is split pushing, and then there's a C side, which is like the late game team fighting stuff. And that B side and that C side is harder than the lane shit that you're doing right now. And I'm not even kidding. It really is, because I suck at it. And I would rate my laning in on Kassadin is pretty decent, but my mid to late gameplay on Kassadin is okay. And then my team fighting is very meh, because I constantly would get huge leads and then throw them and not carry the game with Kassadin. It just always would fuck it up. So like I said, this champion is tough. He does carry, and he does add a ton of value in solo queue. I mean, like, just being able to zone from like really far away and to be able to escape a bunch of shit and to be able to rift walk around and snowball like with your rift walk is really cool, but it's tough. So this game, you know, you played the laning kind of bad in my opinion. You have like, I mean, I say kind of bad, very bad. You played the laning very bad, so you didn't really get to the side lane stuff. You didn't really get to the late game stuff. Now we're throwing our TP. We're TPing for some fucking reason over here. I don't know why. The guy's dead. He didn't have ult. You make sure to check your teammates' ults and stuff to see if the fight makes sense. Try to get all that information into your head before TPing. If you're gonna poke anybody, poke the Katarina. Poke somebody squishy that you can threaten an all-in on. Don't just poke a tank for no reason. You don't want to take that trade in front of the Thresh like that ever. You don't want to waste your gap closer. Super Dog, thanks for 13 months. Keys in the chat, please, for Super Dog. You could have canceled that Katarina's ult for a long time. You go back, watch. She's got daggers down, right? That dagger right there, you know she's about to jump to it. So space here and get ready to Q. But you don't have to know she's going to jump to it, but she's probably going to die of it a lot. Tower's falling. She's pretty big. Nasus is there. If you Q, look how much damage she gets off before anything. You didn't even Q, react to it. You gotta be thinking ahead. That's why she lives. That's why she kills anybody there at all. So, key points for this replay. Zoning, 1. That's the key point. Actually zone with your Q. Watch how I play Gangplank. When I have a matchup that I do better in, just watch how I like zone. It's the very same concept. Same range and everything, I'm pretty sure. Don't be afraid to leverage your advantages on your champion, because really Kassadin does really well against those like melee APs, like incredibly well against those melee APs, because he can just Q them over and over again all day. Some of the longer range mages, yeah, you might have to just concede space for a long time until 6, but once you're 6, if you did a good job of managing harass, then it's a cakewalk as well, because you could just jump to them and pressure them. Like I said, you're essentially on the A side of Kassadin right now. For those who don't know my Celeste references, basically A side is like you play through the game and the game is challenging, but it's not like, you know, it's not insane. And then the B side, it gets a bit harder, and then by C side, you want to blow your brains out because it's like ridiculously difficult. That's kind of how I would view Kassadin. Is like he starts off, you know, it's a pretty simple lane phase, and then as you start going along to mid and late game, he gets more complicated. But we've got to get you through the lane phase first, because this was not good. Work on the zoning. Work on pressuring the lane, and the matchup specific stuff. Katarina with her daggers, always move around those daggers. Buffer your Q. If you see her getting near you, just tap Q on her when she's getting near you, and that way when she jumps to her dagger, you'll immediately Q her in the face, and then get ready to, you know, auto attack, and then auto attack reset with your W. Your goal is to get her in a position by pressuring her early and efficiently as soon as your Q's off of cooldown, so that once the wave is like towards your tower here, you'd be able to set up a freeze early game here. Setting her up for a jungle gank. 1, because of her positioning, and 2, and this is the more important part that you missed in this replay, is because you would have poked her down efficiently, and then she'd be more likely to die to that gank. Okay? Anyways, I'm not telling you not to play Kassadin. I'm just telling you it's going to be hard work to figure him out and get good at him. I'd strongly encourage you to watch, well, I don't know if Dopa plays Kassadin anymore, but watch his old Kassadin replays, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about with the confidence and, like, the zoning and all that stuff. First matchups like Vladimir, Katarina's one of them, and shit like that. All right, dude, I hope this helps you. YouTube, I'm out. Peace, crackers. Thanks so much for hanging out. You know, like, sub, and come to Twitch and sub, and all that stuff. It really helps. This will be on YouTube. Yeah, I'm out. Peace. Crackers. Gotta go, guys. Love you. See you soon.